Welcome to a different kind of cut. Today I'm going to be showing you how I got ground sirloin and ground chili meat out of one piece of meat. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Aaron here with a different kind of cut, and today I'm going to be showing you how to cut up a knuckle, which is also called a sirloin tip. Sirloin tip roast, knuckle roast, whatever you want to call it, that's what it looks like. You can pick one of these up at pretty much any grocery store. Sam's Club, Costco, they sell them exactly like this, right in the counter. You can just pick it up. I picked up a select, not a choice today. I picked up a select, and the reason for that is because I'm going to be actually grinding this, mostly grinding it, but I'm going to show you how to cut it up in case you want to make steaks or a roast or thin cut, sandwich slice meat, whatever you want to do with it. But I'm going to show you today how to trim it, cut it, turn it into a roast, turn it into steaks, get sandwich meat out of it, turn it into stew. You can make stew out of it. But like I said, I'm going to take this thing and I'm basically going to grind it to make sirloin, a ground sirloin out of it. So let's get started here. So we're going to take this, cut it open, just like so. Okay, so if you notice, there's a flat side on this knuckle, and then there's an ugly side, real ugly looking side. It's got a lot of tendons and stuff in it. This piece actually comes from the front part of the rear leg. That's where the bone kind of rides. If you know where the meat's coming from, you're gonna know if it's tender or not. This is part, if you kind of want to think of it as almost like the top part of the kneecap. You know, it's a real tough piece of meat. You know, I mean, you can make it good, you can marinate it and tenderize it and stuff and make it into a really nice steak. But me, I'm not gonna make it into steak. I'm gonna turn it all into basically grind. So what we want to do is, the first thing I'm gonna do is just clean up anything that's hanging off like that. And then you see these two little lines right here. Now, there's other people, you know, may cut it a little bit different. If you were to cut this just into steaks, you'd want to take this side here, and you'd want to take your knife right alongside this vein here. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it down straight through here, and you want it to kind of come right through the back side here. So just like this. Okay, so now you got the steak side and you got the roast side. And I always clean it up afterwards. It's a little bit easier to maneuver your knife, because you can lay this guy flat like this, and then you could take your knife and just trim it off like that. Okay. So we're just gonna clean up all this silver skin, just like so. And like I said, I'm going to be taking this and grinding it all anyways, so it doesn't really matter how much meat I take off. Normally what you want to do is get as little a meat as possible when you're taking the silver skin off. But I'm going to be grinding this all, so it doesn't really matter. I can lean it up pretty well. Okay, so that's pretty much the top side. And you're going to come down and clean up the bottom side. Right, so you can see there's a big old chunk of fat that's right in here. We're just going to wedge that out, just like so. And I'm grinding all of this, so it'll make a really nice burger. Turn it into probably chili meat. We'll do a coarse grind, and then we'll do a fine grind, so we get a little bit of ground sirloin out of it. Okay, so now this side here is pretty much trimmed up. This, you can trim it out, you can take it all out if you want to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this guy into steaks, and that last little part, then I'm going to take it and make it into stew. So I'll clean it up afterwards. But this here is the roast side, and you can see, because it's the ugly side, it's got a lot of, you know, fat running through it, and it just doesn't look very clean. Hey, stop it! All right. Dang dogs. Just kidding, I love them. Anyways, so we're gonna clean this guy up. Same thing, we're gonna take all this silver skin off, all the fat. We're gonna clean it up really nice. If you were to be cutting this at a grocery store or a butcher shop, most places take this roast and they will clean it up really nice and they'll net it. They'll put it through a netter or they will tie it. So you just take your knife and get it in there and pull all this. See this? Zoom in on this part right here. See that nastiness? That's really hard. You don't want to leave that in the roast. Somebody will freak out if they get that in their roast. So you just clean it up, take out as much fat as you can, just like that, and then you put it together, and you can either tie it this way or you can run it through a netter and it'll look nice. Season it up with a little bit of sea salt, some pepper. You can throw that right on a rotisserie, and now you got a nice sirloin tip roast. Or if you want to, you can always cut it in half this way and get 2 sirloin tip roasts, right? So now you got 2 sirloin tip roasts. You tie them up or net them up, and then you got 2 sirloin tip roasts. Or you can even cut these into steaks. You know, these are the ugly looking steaks, so usually you use these for roast. But if you're running low and you need steaks and you don't have another steak side, you can always take these and just cut them down just like that. And now you got a nice sirloin tip steak. You know, that's generally what you'll find at a grocery store, unless you're going to a grocery store that really cares about their meat and they're going to make their sirloin tips off of this side. This is a more lean side. It looks a little bit nicer, and I'll show you the difference between the roast side versus the steak side. So I'm gonna take a chunk off of here. That's gonna go in the stew. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna stew it up just like that. All right, now you got nice little chunks of stew. That'll stew up real nice. So I'll take a couple cuts off of here, right? And we'll get a couple nice cuts before we go into the thin cut. Okay. So some stores will actually take this little part off, just like that, so you have a little bit nicer looking steak. So let me get one more cut off of here. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. So now let's take this piece off. We'll stew that up. Now look at that. Look at this steak compared to this steak. You can see the difference. This is the steak side. This is the roast side. You can still use this as an actual steak, but this side here looks a lot nicer if you were going to put this into a service counter or even just a regular counter. Okay, so now we're going to start cutting our thin cuts. So when I cut my thin cuts, you can see this chunk of meat that's hanging off here. I will take that off. It will make my thin cuts look a little nicer. Okay, and I'm gonna stew that up later, but you can see I took that off, and now the only thing that's gonna come out is these nice looking thin cut steaks. So we're just gonna take these. Usually you cut them on the boneless blade saw, but since I only got a knife, we're just gonna hand cut them. Just gonna go like that. Okay, just like that. We're getting the thin cuts, and these are for like sandwich steak. So if you want to make a sandwich steak like steakums or steakies or whatever the heck they call those things, those frozen ones, this is basically the same kind of meat that they're using. They cut them real thin, they roll them just like this, put them in a tray. You know, if you were to make those look nice in the service counter or the regular counter, put them in a tiny little tray. There's your thin cuts. So you got your thin cuts, you got your your regular steaks, you got your roast steaks, you got your roast. Hey! Enough with the fighting. All right. Okay, so now we got the rest of this. Like I said, what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna take this stuff and I'm gonna grind it all. I'm gonna make chili meat out of it because we make a lot of chili around here for the holidays and for the, you know, the cold winter months and stuff, you know, being up here in Minnesota. But if you want to make steaks, you just keep on cutting until you get down to that ugly part. And I'll show you what I mean. As you get down, you can start to see it gets a little bit uglier as you go. So now this piece here, see that? That's gonna be nice and tough. You're not gonna wanna eat that. That's gonna be pretty tough. So I'll take that and I'll stew it completely, make stew out of it, or grind it. It makes really good grind, really lean grind. If you were to grind all this, you'd be looking at somewhere around 92%, 95%. If you take some of that fat out, you're looking at 96%. So it's really good grind if you're gonna just grind it. I paid, what did I pay for this? Hold on one second. I paid $4.31 a pound for this, and this is basically ground sirloin. So you can either get steaks out of it, you can get you know, stew out of it, you can get thin sandwich meat out of it. If you want to make if you wanted to take this and smoke it and then slice it, you can get roast beef out of it. Season it up, smoke it, slice it, get roast beef. I don't know, there's multiple different things that you can do with this roast. But like I said, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna grind it all and turn it all into really good chili meat. Thanks for watching.